Hi everyone, I'm back with part 2 of my Sephora sale recommendations. If you missed it, I already posted part 1. It's a very long video, so prepare yourself, but it really covers a lot of new and recent beauty loves that have entered sort of my everyday circulation. But for this video, I thought I would focus on the everyday staples in my routines. These are products that I just can't live without, things that I would really feel their absence. These are things I would go out and repurchase if they went missing because I do use them on an almost daily basis. For this video, I thought I would keep it a little bit more curated, more of a tight edit. So I do have things across all categories. I have makeup, skincare, and bath and body fragrance. I think there's about 15 things on this list. Some of these are product specific and some of these are shade specific when it comes to makeup. So I'm gonna start with makeup and let's get right into it. As always, I like to go in order of application. So I'm going to start with base, starting with a skin tint. And I had to mention the Summer Friday skin tint. I still think this is a really special product many years after its release. It's something that I reach for not daily, but I would say at least once a week or so. I wear the shade 4. It's a great match for me. There's something so beautiful about the finish this leaves on the skin. It's definitely sheer. It's a light coverage. It's only going to slightly blur over redness, but it does blur over pores and it gives me dewiness, but that dewiness lasts all day without getting oily or without breaking up on the skin. It's a true skin tint, something that actually does look like skin. So I reach for it on easy makeup days, like barely there makeup days. I might just be doing this and a brow gel and like a tinted lip balm. It really is something that I continue to reach for, and I have like dozens of skin tints and foundations in my collection, and I still think this is special and the finish is so beautiful. If you haven't tried this, it's a very fluid consistency. It's like a serum consistency. You can blend it in with a brush or with fingers. I don't use a sponge with this only because it's so fluid that it might absorb into the sponge, but you could if you wanted to. It's just easy to use. I actually have a lot of base products on here because I am very picky when it comes to base makeup. If you followed me for any amount of time, you'll probably know this was coming. This is the CL Tint and Protect Skin Tint with SPF 50. Even though these are both called skin tints, they are very different. This has way more coverage. I would say like a buildable to a medium high. I'm wearing it today and it still looks like skin. It blurs over pores. It definitely gives you more coverage. It's fluid. It comes in this like dropper serum component, and it has the addition of the mineral SPF 50, although I do always say don't rely on this as your primary SPF. Use your regular sunscreen, and then this is just extra. But I just find it sits so beautifully on the skin. It gives me like the maximum coverage I want. I don't really want anything more than this, while still retaining a skin-like finish all day. And if I powder it, it'll look more matte. If I leave it as is, it might be a little bit more dewy. It's a very, very flexible formula, and that's what I love about it. I can use it for special occasions or just for like day-to-day life. And much like the Summer Friday skin tint, I use this with a brush or even with fingers. I don't like to use it with a sponge. I don't really use sponges these days. I don't know. I'm just a brush girl. And then for concealer, I have still been going strong with the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Concealer. It is such a beautiful, thin, high coverage, flexible formula. So I literally just take a little bit on the back of my hand. I take a brush and I really buff it into the skin. And because it's high coverage, I can use a little bit and get a really skin-like finish while still getting the coverage that I want. And I find that it is thin, it sets down, it's long wearing, but you can really adjust the coverage with how much you apply. I used to be someone who would swipe directly under my eyes, and now in my 30s, I have to do the back of the hand method. It just looks so much better. I don't get any caking or any sinking into fine lines, even when I don't powder it. And I actually don't powder it most days. It's just such a beautiful finish. I really think the flexibility and the coverage and that stretchiness is what continues to draw me to this concealer. Lately, the way I like to do my base, I like to go in with something with lighter coverage, and then I like to do what I call a kind of patchwork technique of adding coverage where I need it and only where I need it. So I've actually been using something like a skin tint in conjunction with a stick foundation just to swipe on on and spot conceal and add higher coverage where I need it in a pinpoint way or in a certain plane of my face, like where I get redness here. So I have two options. I kind of use them in different seasons. The Ilia foundation stick is so beautiful. One of the best foundation sticks I've tried. It has a little bit higher coverage and a little bit more of a natural finish, whereas the Merit foundation stick is dewier and it has less coverage, but there's a time and place for both of them. I wouldn't pick up both, but depending on the season, like spring, summer, I would go for this. Fall, winter, I would go for this. I wear the shade 12N Sycamore right now in Ilia, perfect match for me. And in Merit, they recently extended the shade range and I actually have my perfect match. Previously, I think I used Bisque. It was a little bit peachy. They added the shade Oak to the lineup and it is such a good match for me. It's very neutral and it's just easy to swipe on and blend out. For all over application, this is more light coverage, this is more medium, this is a little bit more natural, this is a little bit dewier, it just depends what you like. But having one of these in rotation alongside a skin tint to do the patchwork routine has been really essential. Maybe I'll do like a shorts on how I do that because it's kind of a specific technique that I've tailored to my skin needs. Here are the shade swatches. This one is Merit. It's still a little, like just a touch peachier. This is the Ilia. The Ilia is a little bit more golden, but they're very, very, very comparable when you blend them out, especially because they're not full coverage products. Moving on to cheeks, again, you won't be surprised if you followed me for any amount of time, but I do think it's worth repeating the things that continue to show up in our routines. Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Bronzing and Shaping Serum. It continues to be the bronzer, the bronzing product that I reach for in my day-to-day life, like 90% of the time since this came into my life. It is so beautiful. It's so unlike any other cream bronzer because this is sheer and this is for someone who likes a natural makeup look. You can pump it through the little pump here or you can use the doe foot applicator. I just swipe it directly on my face. I'm sorry, this is so dirty and disgusting, but I'm the only one that uses it, so it's fine. I really love the shade Light right now because it's a very neutral tone. You can see there's a bit of goldenness in there and it just blends out and really becomes one with the skin. There is also like a little bit of pearl in this formula. You can see it in the bottle, but applied on the hand, it doesn't look frosty. It looks like you just applied skincare. That's the kind of glow it gives you. I've mentioned before that lately I don't like to go for a super bronzed, like pigmented bronze look. I like for something to look like my skin, like the natural shades of my skin, like variations of my skin tone. And this gives me that look. There are other liquid bronzers that I like, even though I'm very picky in this category. I just recently mentioned the Westman Atelier one. This is new in my life, but even though I like this one, it's still not trumping this for me. And that's because this format is just so easy to use. And it's not a true like liquid in that it's runny. I get a little bit more control over it in terms of the application. It's what I have on today. And again, it barely looks like I bronzed, but it does just add some dimension and shape to the face. For blush, I have a blush pick that took over my life all of last year, and I still reach for it all the time. I'm wearing it today. It's CL, and this is kind of a shade specific pick on this list. So this is their Blush and Protect SPF 50. Again, like the skin tint, it has mineral SPF 50, which is great because it adds just a little bit of extra sun protection on the cheeks where you get the most sun damage. But really, I just love this shade. This is the shade January. I've used it many, many times. I travel with it all the time. It looks super cool in the tube, like a cool toned pink, and it is, but these tones tend to pull a little bit more neutral on me. And I love how flushed it is. It's youthful, but it's not too loud. It goes with kind of every eye look, and it is such an easy formula to use. I also swipe this on the back of my hand. I work it into the brush and then I tap onto my cheeks and it blends out so easily. It also has a really nice blend where I feel like it does kind of diffuse over the pores, any visible texture that I have on the cheeks, which is, we all have texture on the cheeks, and it just is super flattering. And it's something that I can pile on and it still looks great. In terms of a highlighter, you guys know I don't really love a powder highlighter or a classic highlighter. I love a liquid luminizer, and the Dior Forever Glow Star Filter is proving to be a product that has real longevity in my makeup routines. So this is kind of like your Charlotte Tilbury Star Filter, but I would say it has even more reflective pearl. And I'm not someone who always goes for that, but this just looks so stunning on the skin. Like, it is red carpet skin. It's glam, it's beautiful, it's pearly, but it's a little bit thinner than Charlotte Tilbury Star Filter. It's a gel texture, but it dries down and it doesn't feel heavy on the skin. So I feel like it's a good option for someone who doesn't like heavy textures. Or if you have oily skin and you want glow, but like you don't want it to feel like there's a creamy, dewy highlighter on your face, this is an option for that too. I wear the shade 2. It's a really good highlighting shade. I have thought about purchasing shade 3. I might do that in the summer, but it's a really just beautiful, pearly, luminescent glow, and it's something that you could even wear under foundation. You could mix it into foundation. Dry skins would love it because it makes your skin look so dewy and luminous. It's just a really flexible product. Moving into eyes, I have some very like boring essentials, but boring essentials are what our makeup routines are built on. Another Makeup by Mario product on this list is the Master Matte's Neutrals eyeshadow palette. Mine is pretty used up. It's pretty dusty. I really use these top 2 rows the most. I do use shades to deepen, but I don't do a lot of smoky eye looks these days. And on a day like today where I'm not even doing really an eye look, but I just want some dimension, I really mostly go into this shade, and this shade, sometimes this shade, like really these top 2 rows. And I just create a little bit of sculpting, a little bit of depth. It's the kind of thing where you might not even realize like, oh, I'm wearing like eyeshadow, because it's not like you're creating an eye look. Though you certainly could if you wanted to go in for like a smoky 90s matte eyeshadow, which I have done. It's just not an everyday thing for me, but it is something that lives like on my vanity and in my makeup bag because it's so functional. I also, when I do like want to wear a more, I don't know, sparkly eye look or something, lately I just reached for a topper. So I'll do a base of this and then do a topper on my eyes, and it's so easy. I have said before that this is a drier eyeshadow formula. It's on the more powdery side. It's not like a creamy, dense Natasha Denona sort of matte, but I sort of like that these days because it's a little bit more buildable and it's a little bit more like everyday friendly for me. I don't always want an opaque eyeshadow. Sometimes I want something where it's kind of transparent, and this certainly could be built up to full pigment, but it has more of like a gradient than some of the more like dense, creamy eyeshadows. Another old faithful is my Shiseido Lash Curler. If I lost this, I would immediately purchase it the same day. I've gone through many lash curlers. I have a ton of them that I like, but this is the one that just fits my eye shape the best. If you have Asian eyes, if you have maybe a smaller eye shape and maybe less of a curved eye shape, this would be great for you. I just love this one because it gets in every nook and cranny, and I'm able to work it to the root of my lashes without being scared that I'll pinch myself. I've never pinched myself with this. I'm also able to like bend it upward and really like pump it through the lash and get that super curled look because of how much control I have with this. For lips, you would think there would be a million tinted lip balms on here because I love tinted lip balms and I love a gloss, I love a lip oil, but actually there are just so many on the market that none of them feel like an absolute essential. They all just kind of rotate in my life. Like Tower 28 Lip Softy, Summer Fridays Lip Balm, Rhode Lip Balm, like they all just cycle through. So none of them are actually on this list. Even though I love all of them, none of them is like, if I lost one of them, it's like there's so many others that could fill its place. However, I do have a lip combo these days that actually a lot of you guys have noticed and asked me about in the comments. I've been wearing it a ton. It's this combo. It's a luxury combo, but there's something about these tones that is undupable in my collection. So I mentioned this actually in my previous Sephora recommendations video. This is the Farah Homidi lip liner, but specifically the shade Fawn. I'll even do a little retouch of the combo today. Fawn is a beautiful lip contouring shade for me. It has a slight cooler undertone without being gray. Let me just show you. It's a super matte formula. It's a wood pencil. It's really long lasting. So I'm able to get like a really sculpted lip look, and it's so flattering and so pretty and goes with everything. Like it looks great with just even a tinted lip balm on top of it. However, I love this Prada lipstick shade. This is B02. I think this is their soft matte collection, and it just has this like brick pink kind of look. I can't describe it because it's a light pink, but then there's like a warmth that comes through and it really pops on my skin tone. Other shades that remind me of this are the Merit lipstick in, what's that pink shade? I want to say it's called Sunday. That one also pops in a similar way where it's like a light pink, but then there's like a little bit of brick that comes through. And I just find on my skin tone, it's a shade that really stands out. But then you put these together and something about the like poppy pink of this with the cool toned nature of the lip liner, it just makes a really good lip combo. It's long lasting, and the Prada lip formula is a soft matte, but it's like a soft velvety matte, and it's a super blurred diffused lip look. It's not uncomfortable on the lips at all. It's long lasting without feeling like there's a thick layer of lipstick. It goes on really thin, and I actually only really apply it in the center of the lip and sort of blur it out to meet the lip liner. But this is my go-to combo. I get asked about it often. I know these are bougie, but these are shades that just really work for me. Moving on to skincare, I actually shocked myself because I only have one pick. And I think that's also like similar to tinted lip balms. There's just so much skincare in the world and at Sephora that I love, that I use interchangeably. But there are only a few products that are truly unique in what they do and like irreplaceable and undupable. And for me, this is the Kate Somerville's Kate Ceuticals Lifting Eye Cream. I am not saying you should run out and buy a very expensive eye cream. However, for me, I have hooded eyes and I also have a double eyelid, and my double eyelid is always my tell of how much I've slept, if I've eaten a lot of sodium, if I'm working out, if I'm really tired. And when I am using this, I notice that my eyelid is sitting a little bit higher, and I have more visible lid space when I'm using this versus when I'm not. This is probably my third or fourth bottle of this, and I haven't always used it consecutively. Like I've emptied one and then I go to another product, and I actually always notice when I don't use it or when I stop using this. So it might be a me thing. They call it a lifting eye cream. It's not like it has retinoids, but there are peptides in here that will stimulate well aging and soften signs of aging, and there's just something about this that really works for me, and it's the only skincare item that I'm including. Obviously, there are so many more that I love. There's brands I love, but in terms of like truly undupable products, for me, this is one of them. I have one body product, and I won't subject you to showing you mine, but it is actually the Soft Services Buffing Bar. I am a chemical exfoliant girl all the way. I never physically exfoliate my face, but when it comes to my body, sometimes you just like gotta get in there. And the Buffing Bar is just my ideal physical exfoliant. It's a bar of soap that has exfoliating bits in it. And I've tried these from other brands, but the Soft Services one has just the perfect grit where it's fine, but it's enough to really give you like a nice scrub. And I really love using it, especially going into spring and summer on elbows, knees, feet, my back, anywhere that needs a really good polish. And that is how I feel after I use it. I feel really polished. My skin is super soft. I love the original. They also have scented versions. I'm not sure if they sell them at Sephora, but I know Sephora does have the original. And again, it's a product that I notice when I don't have it. Like if I'm out of it in my shower and I have a different physical exfoliant, it's just not doing the same thing. And then I actually like to go in with a chemical exfoliant as well after I shower, like while I'm moisturizing. I don't do the chemical and physical on the same day, but I feel like when it comes to body, because your body skin is a little bit thicker, a little bit tougher, I can do both chemical and physical exfoliation and alternate, and that's when I get the softest, smoothest, most even toned skin. Yeah, there's just something about the buffing bar that I love and I like can't live without. I always have one. I always have a backup in my life. And then closing out with fragrance, I actually surprised myself. I have a perfume and a body mist. These are like kind of basic responses. I mean, I have so many perfumes in my life that I love, but there's something about Glossier You Do that is just so me. I love a wood scent. I don't like anything too feminine. I don't like anything too girly. This is woodsy and creamy and warm, and it's something that I can wear anytime to any occasion at any time of year. My true signature fragrance, I would say, is Byredo de los Santos. And this sort of feels like the little sister of Byredo de los Santos. It has a similar woodsiness, a creaminess, but it's not quite as intense. It's almost like the, I don't know, eau de toilette of Byredo de los Santos, which is an eau de parfum. Even though this is an eau de parfum, Glossier perfumes are just not that strong. They don't have that kind of projection, but because of that, it's easier for me to wear on the day-to-day. And then this is the only body mist that I reach for consistently. I have a lot of fragrances in my life, a lot of body mists that I love when I remember to wear them, but 9 times out of 10, if I'm gonna reach for a fragrance, I'm going to reach for a perfume. Except when it comes to the Rare Beauty Fine Comfort body and hair fragrance. There's something about this. I think there's jasmine, there's a little bit of citrus, it's a little juicy, a little sweet. There's something kind of cozy about it too. And it's much more feminine than I typically reach for, but I just find myself really drawn to this. And I think if I'm going to use a body mist, I want it to be uplifting. I want it to be a little bit lighter. This kind of captures that. Whereas if I were reaching for a body mist that's like a gourmand or something, it's like I'm probably gonna reach for a perfume. There's something about the lightness of the fragrance of this along with the format of the body mist that just really works for me. And Sean loves this scent too. Whenever I spray it, he's always like, oh, you smell really good. They also just came out with a peach version of this scent, or of their body mist, and it comes in their hand lotion and their body cream. It smells beautiful. I love peach. It's much sweeter and it's much juicier and fruitier. So I do like that, but the original is still what like beckons to me, and I just find it so refreshing and like, yeah, uplifting. It's a mood lifter. Okay, so that is it for me. I actually really surprised myself with this list, but this is just my honest answer of things that I use almost every day, things that are essential in my routines, and things that I feel can't be replaced by other products. Obviously, there's so much I love. I will link all of my past Sephora favorites and that playlist in the description box. I stand by all my previous favorites. However, these are things that are like essential to me right now. So if you have any questions, let me know. Would love to know what you're picking up in the Sephora sale if you are shopping, or if you're just window browsing, that's okay too. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.